Hi everyone and welcome to part 3. In parts 1 and 2 I covered my holdall and my seat box. So part 3 I'm just going to cover all my bags, which is basically what all my other kit all fits into. Very easy to fall into the trap where you just carry one big bag with loads of different stuff or loads of smaller bags. We all end up carrying too much kit, you end up forgetting stuff, so these are my tips for organising things, keeping stuff together and keeping it in some kind of logical order to make sure you don't forget stuff, you've got everything you need, you don't carry too much and everything's organised. First up is my Preston Innovations tray and net bag. So exactly what it says on the tin. I'm able to fit 1, 2 or 3 keep nets in there. I'm able to fit my 3 bulky side trays straight in the front. I've seen people sometimes carrying their side trays separately, net separately. I'd rather tie the whole lot together, just have it in one big bag. It means I don't need to forget it. It's less trips up and down the bank. It's less to remember getting it into in and out of the van. So yeah, it's a little bit bulky keeping it all together, but I'd much rather just keep it together. Only other thing that you'll spot in here, which is a little bit different, I've just got a collapsible EVA bucket, which on steep banks you're able to get water straight out of the canal or lake for mixing your ground bait or whatever, and it's also really useful for hooking on underneath your pole rollers in windy weather, stopping it blowing over, or even your tripods, rig roosts, all that kind of thing. So it's a bulky item that lives in there because it will be squashed down out the way and is always with me. Bag number 2 again is a Preston Innovations piece of luggage, but from a different range. Remember, very little of my kit matches. I just buy what I think is right for the job rather than what matches. So yeah, I've got Census luggage, Preston luggage, bits of Daiwa, Browning, so yeah, excuse that, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. So yeah, roller and roost bag, as the name suggests yet again, we get the zip the right side. I just keep 2 pole rollers in here, and keeping up the theme of not matching, I carry 1 matrix pole roller, 1 Census pole roller. Now, most people out there, they like to have matching pole rollers. I actually prefer to have 2 different kinds of pole roller. I think it's more versatile and it covers more situations, and you're more likely to get your pole rollers set up perfectly by doing this. First up is the Census pole roller. This is my number 1 choice. It's quite a big, bulky roller, but it is incredibly stable. A really strong roller, which you can also get a lot of height on it as well. It extends to getting on for 5.5 feet tall. So it doesn't matter what kind of bank it is, what drop-offs you got, how steep an angle you've got to ship up. That is strong, steady, it's not going to blow over. A really good solid roller. The second one, the Matrix, not quite as solid as the Census. I wouldn't want it jacked up quite as high as that in really windy weather. I'd be a little bit concerned about it in really strong wind. But what it does have over the Census is the versatility. With the angleable legs on this, you can get it anything from inches off the ground to a few feet to the same height as this, along with these leg extensions. So I feel by carrying both of these rollers, I'm going to cover every kind of situation come in. If I need this one at the front and that one at the back, it's fine if you've got a low bank in front of you, or if you have that one at the front and then this one at the back because it lowers down. Either way, I'm going to be completely covered. And the great thing about keeping both of these together in this separate bag, if I'm on a rod and line venue, I don't need any pole rollers. The whole bag can just stay at home. So although this bag does come with me 90% of the time and covers most of my fishing, I do have a few other pole rollers. I also have one of the largest Daiwa pole rollers, which that is an absolute beast. It is huge. It's really good on the venues where you need it, where you're shipping in at multiple angles. You could have a line left, a line right, because it's just such a huge target area. The downside is It's really big and heavy to carry. So that generally only comes with me on commercial venues or venues where you don't need to walk very far, but where that kind of roller gives you a little bit of an advantage. Often in the winter as well, I may fish venues where you only really need one pole roller. So to cover most situations, that's where the matrix comes with me. That's where I'll then take it out of that bag and put it back into the single bag that it comes in and just carry this one roller with me. So in all, the take-home message is versatility. It doesn't matter what kind of venue I'm going to, how far I've got to walk, what sort of pole fishing I'm doing, how many rollers I need. I can swap bits around depending. Bag number 3 is another roller and roost bag, but this time from the Monster range. Here we've got my homemade toolbar. That just carries separate. Just leave that on the top there rather than take up space inside the bag. Front pocket, perfect just for putting hook length boxes in. I just select the hook boxes I need for the venue that I'm going on, and they can just go straight in the front there. Now the rest of it is all just one big pocket. Now I've seen loads of different ways of storing kits and stuff like that, various different fold out bags and little compartments you can tuck stuff away in, but I've tried all sorts. But really my thought is, with like your carry-all type bag, if you've got anything in it whilst you're actually fishing, then you're probably carrying too much kit to the bank. So I'd rather just put everything, all stuffed, all chucked loose, straight into one big compartment. It might look messy, might be slightly neater ways of doing it, more compact ways of doing it, but as soon as I get to the bank, everything's going to come out anyway. When it comes to working out what I need for a particular venue, I've just got a shelf on the garage where all my attachments and stuff all live, and I'll just select the ones that I need, put it into this bag. I can just open up the top, just have a quick check through, make sure I've got everything. Doing it this way also saves on what I call kit swaps. Like I've known some people have different sets of luggage for different kinds of venues and spend up to a couple of hours swapping gear around. I think just by swapping around what's in just this one big bag and putting it on a shelf in my garage, it's quick, easy, and it just takes minutes. So at the minute I've stuffed absolutely everything in there. Like the amount of gear that's in there at the minute I won't obviously carry everywhere with me, so let's have a look at the various different bits that I've got. Also got the spray bar. It's needed on some venues. That's for the tulips. That's one of the side trays goes onto. My main sort of rig roost or rod pod. It's this large one by Preston. Is really good, really adaptable. You can use it as a single, you can use it as a double. That's really good. Doesn't matter whether I'm going on a feeder venue, pole venue, or both. That goes with me. It's my gripper kit from Preston as well that goes onto my side tray. Again, rods or poles, doesn't matter. They'll all go straight onto that. It's the arm for my keep net, which goes on my side tray. Now from feeder fishing, got my feeder land feeder arm, and my butt rest. Measuring sticks, they also go in loose there. Towel, I cannot do without a towel. And oh, little handy tip here, just got an old towel with a hole in it. That means I can then push it over the leg of my seat box and it doesn't blow away, fall in the water, it just holds it in place. So nice little tip there. Just got a lone bank stick and a roost head. Sometimes you cannot get in a proper rig roost, so I go back in time, and that can really get you out of the poo sometimes. Tulips just going loose, bungee cord, well, a couple of bungee cords just in case. I've also got several of these little bags where that one has got insect repellent and sun cream for the summer, which shouldn't really be in there this time of year. This little EVA case from Garbolino, that's got my bigger catapults in it and also 1 or 2 spare feeders in it just in case. A bait box here with a weed cutter. can of sweet corn just in case. You can see by the rust on that how long that's been there. And an atomizer spray gun, and even a little old Fox Match tub here with pole pots. Just everything gets chucked in loose, and when I'm fishing I expect there to be pretty much nothing inside, because everything should be out and in use, attached to me box, attached to me side trays. If there's anything in there whilst I'm fishing, then why is it there? I should have just left it at home. Right, fourth and final bag, and yet again another manufacturer, different range, is my cool bag, which various different people have different things they keep in their cool bags, different stuff. I think the front pocket on this is quite useful. Just like to put bait droppers in there, got some spare pole pots, stuff like that. A few plastic bags in case you need them on the bank can be handy. Got the little end pockets here where just got some skid bungs. It's a useful place to keep them where they're always at hand. And in the main part of the bag itself, just try and keep a few spare pots and stuff. I think it's very easy to carry loads of different EVA bits and pieces. I'm not like that. I want to try and simplify things a little bit. So I've actually got, on a similar theme, 3 different EVA pots, all from different manufacturers, which I've chosen these because they all fit inside each other. They're great for ground bait and bigger, bulkier baits and stuff like that. A little Drennan tub with the lid cut out for floating maggots. Pot here, which is good for measuring. I've got a tape mark in the middle, marked out at 250mm. I can measure out some various baits that I'm feeding. It's also great for chopping up worms. Give me chop worm scissors in there as well. And my pole pot and a fish counter, and 6 of these little tubs. So these are great for decanting bits of bait out at a time, where I'll wet out a few pellets at a time, you know, just tip them into the tub straight from the bag. I'll carry them loose in the bag, you know, in like that front pocket. It's also good for bits of your feeder mix, stuff like that. You know, you just get a little bit of ground bait out at a time, pop them into these. You know, really, really useful. Also, if it's chucking it down with rain, I've got my big tubs full of maggots and stuff like that that'll keep under my canopy on my box. Whereas I can take a few out at a time, put them into these, so not all of me bait gets wet or damaged by the sun all in one hit. So as you can see, the contents really is quite compact. And then on top of that, any bait I'll then carry small amounts of bait in these little Preston bait tubs that are quite good. Bigger amounts of bait in these larger matrix tubs. And these little Guru zip-up EVA cases, they're quite good if you're just mixing up, you know, like a kilo of ground bait. I think that's about the maximum you'll kind of fit into one of these. So if you're on a feeder session or something like that, a small amount of mixed up ground bait in there, that can just go straight in the cool bag. Keeps everything neat and tidy. Worms. These little Mosella bags are really good. You can keep a kilo of worms in one of those. You're not messing around with cable ties or net bags or anything like that. They're just these little zip-up tubs. You can get straight out your worms. Neat and tidy, very easy, no messing about. Now, when it comes to larger quantities of ground bait, like many anglers, I try and carry them in buckets. Got this map EVA bucket, it's great. I mix up my ground bait at home, you zip that up, they're not going to get wet. Now if I'm going on a venue where I do need a lot of ground bait, generally I carry with me 3 buckets. I think 3 buckets is absolutely ideal, so let me explain why. This first one is what you carry all your mixed ground bait in. And the second 2 open top buckets is when you're getting ready to ball in or something like that. You can measure in your quantity of ground bait into the first bucket, put in all your loose offerings, mix it up, and then as you mould up your balls of ground bait, you can then transfer them straight into the 3rd bucket where they're all ready to ball in. And then when you're actually fishing and on the bank, you can have a bucket loop on your seat box where you can drop 1, 2, 3 buckets all inside each other. Once you've thrown your mix in, they can all stack inside each other, drop them into the bucket loop behind you, and you can carry on fishing, and they're not taking up much space. Right, now that's my 4 main bags covered and ground bait buckets. The only thing that I haven't really covered is waggler fishing gear, which wagglers, I just keep them in tubes. They'll go loose in this large bag when needed. Feeder fishing gear is a little bit different because that's getting more and more specialist all the time. I've got a couple of small feeder bags that carry all my feeders in, and of course my rod bags where I carry my waggler rods and feeder rods. I'll be covering them in the 4th video. So thanks very much everyone, speak to you later.